Our guest today of engineering degree in computer science in Baroda, India. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the City Club of Chicago the
And they just took my folder away. There was a manila folder here. If anybody has found it, if you can give me that. I'm serious. It's right here. No need to panic. It's right here. And Jay, thanks for acknowledging those that you forgot. But the focus is going to be not just on technology, but the whole current economic times and how we are coping up with that economic times. But before I begin and get into Anas and Shaili, thank you very much for being here. All the three of them are part of the Chicago public school system and are reaping the benefits of what Mayor has been doing for the last 15 years to improve the public education. So really, it's been a great honor to have our mayor work on the system, and then our own family is reaping the benefits of those. I also have my parents here with me today, and it's really great to have my parents there. It's really a great the lessons of lives, so they can see that how have I learned these lessons of life. I'm also fortunate to have my uncle's family here. Both of them, my uncle and aunt, are in the I would have had my grandmother, the fourth generation of our family, be here also if we would not have the typical Chicago spring weather today. Unfortunately, she could not be here with us. But frankly, the big thank you goes to the mayor, Mayor Richard M. Daley, for entrusting the technology reins in my hands for such a long time. It's been fourth year in the job, and every day is something new that I learned, something new that I learned from him and apply back. So really a big thank goes to him for entrusting this reins of technology in my hands. As you know, I've told you a lot about what goes in 2008, 2009, before it used to be 2007, 2008. But today I want to focus a lot It would be easy to give you scores of statistics on what the recession is, how we are facing that, how we are coping up with that. But you all read that on the front pages of the newspapers, and you also read that on the front doors of our neighborhood businesses. Likewise, the lines around the block at job fairs and government offices provide clear indicators of the rising demand of public service from our more vulnerable neighbors. These new needs are real, and they are difficult, but I want to reassure you that every day, Mayor Daley and those needs of our vulnerable neighbors and get Chicago and the United States out of this recession and again get back on the path of recovery as soon as we. We also know that every challenge brings with it new opportunities. Plato may not have visualized the debacle of the AIG bonuses or the imploding banks, but his comment that a need or a problem encourages creative efforts to meet the needs or solve that problem. That couldn't be truer in today's times. necessity still remains the mother of invention. And since our problem is frankly huge, I think the response also needs to be very, very comparably huge and make sure that this whole new thought of rethinking. And what I want to talk to you about today is four Re's that we are focusing on in the technology and innovation. How we reach our customers, that is businesses, visitors, and the residents. Rethinking how we deliver technology and service improvements to our taxpayers. Refocusing on our key shared values. And also retooling our workforce to become even more competitive. These changes are impacting the way city technology is created and used at a faster pace than we've ever seen before. And they present some of the means for Chicago to emerge from this tough economic times as an even stronger global leader. The first one is refining how we reach our customers. As I referenced earlier, in times of economic crisis, government, particularly the local government, the municipal government, unimaginable just a few months or few quarters before. In this world where families have to work multiple jobs to make ends meet, especially in these days, convenience of public service is not just a nice to have, it's a must have, especially in these times. It's a core part of the services we are offering. At the same time, municipalities across the country are finding themselves in the same situation as many companies, struggling to maintain service levels without placing even more demands, any more demands need to reach our customers where they are, when they want to reach us, as opposed to expecting them to have the luxury to come to us at our 8th. Provide them these services. Unlike brick and mortar operations, online services, as all of you know, are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The mayor always asks me to find efficient ways to reach out to our customers, to reach out to our taxpayers, to provide the city services. And in 2003, we built a robust payment infrastructure where we started accepting payments online. In 2003, we collected a whopping $3 million online. Well, it improved. I think a lot of things improved, changed between 2003 and 2008. 2007, we accepted $67 million in online payments. And last year, 2008, that number grew up to $114 million. There was a first year first in nations to collect more than $100 million payments online. And that basically, almost all these improvements came to the taxpayers in the last 1 year at no additional taxpayer investment. We just basically tried to make some small improvements and make sure that it's easy to do business with the city online. 2008, although we don't want people just to keep paying and not just to use the city's online services to keep paying us, although we like to collect revenues, but there are also many things that we did to make sure that we provide these online services to our tax merged to the family and family support services. The Department of Human Services, in partnership with our department, Department of Innovation and Technology, that we call Do It. A lot of departments said, Bennett, you are stop it, you are budget. You tell us to stop it and we'll stop. But anyway, so there are a lot of jokes going around in our based on our acronym Do It. Somebody said don't do it, can do it, we can do it. So we worked with the Department of Human Services to basically implement a homeless management information system. That is basically to track services provided to residents needing homeless services. The system contains a case management system to help stabilize individuals and families. In addition, we also implemented a homeless assistance that also allows us to track usage areas and the amount of rental assistance that was requested and required and provided. And the city also works with real they may be eligible for. This is critically important, as our residents, particularly unemployed and underemployed, need every possible minute to look for jobs, not pay taxes and bills online all the time. These are just a few examples. If I go into details of all that we did in 2008, I think we'll finish, probably we'll have to arrange for dinner. But basically what we want to do is, I want to focus on more how we have incrementally changed the user experience, because one of the most important thing is that beyond offering a service, make intuitive for people to start utilizing their service. You know, I've talked a lot about our 311 successes. You know, Chicago has been a pioneer for the 311 system. A lot of cities 311 system, how it works seamlessly across many different departments, and we serve our residents that way. We became the victims of our own success. 1999, when we rolled out the 311 system, in the first year, our call volume was about 2.5 million calls that we received for 311. 2008, we received 4.6 million phone calls for 311 non-emergency service requests. Compare that with 911, we received about 5.6 non-emergency service requests. You have seen our budgets. The budgets have not grown, and Phil Hampton was supposed to be at the opening Sox, the canceled game. But he would tell you that it's very hard to cope up with that increased call volume without adding the operators, because again, our budget is not luxurious enough that we can add operators and make it easier for them to fend those calls. So what we did was we looked at how we provide the 311 services, what kind of calls we get for 311. And we realized that about 60% calls that we get for 311 service requests are for informational purposes. You call us to find out when is the jazz fest. The calls are informational calls. A lot of them are calls to they should make it to Cook County or state of Illinois, but they don't know the boundaries of government, so they call 311. Open a service request with us. Where is that service request? Have you filled that pothole? Why haven't you filled that pothole? How long is it going to take to fill the potholes? And the alderman here can tell you how many calls they get to find out when the pothole that they called for will get fixed. 20%, the rest 20% is actually to open a new service request. So what we did was we looked at, we basically use our 911 systems, the calling mechanism, to also add our 311 system, because that's our backup center. So we did not have the luxury to buy a new grand IVR system, put it on there and make it very. What we did was we asked OEMC if you could give us a few free channels. They had 9 of them, so we used them. So now when you call 311, it will tell you if you want to know about. They will divert you to Cook County. So now, just by doing that simple upgrade to the 911 system, we shed about 7% of the call volume. Next thing we did was, you know, online thing is just booming. Internet. Everybody is using internet, those who have access to it. I'll talk more about those who don't have access, what we are doing with them. But those who have access, I don't like to pick up the phone and call somebody if I can get my answer online. So what we did was we looked at how many people open service requests, 311 service requests online. And we found out that it was not very intuitive for people to know what service requests they're opening. So what we did was we work regularly with the IIT Institute of Design and their students to work with us to intuitively design an interface that would be easier for people to understand what they're trying to do with the city and open this 311 request. And they designed a nice interface for us. We categorized all the services by the streets or all the different things. And within the first month of putting it online, we got 2,000 service requests online without marketing it. People found it because we put a big button on our homepage, Online 311. People find it. So once we start marketing it, we are hoping that more and more people, all of you, whenever you have to open a 311 ticket, all of you, I'm sure, cityofchicago.org/311, open your service request. It's the same thing. It just would help us reduce our overall cost. That the status requests that we get, the 20% call that we get for status requests, we'll try to see if we can give you status requests by just being proactive, sending you the status of your 311 as opposed to you calling and trying to find us. We are also trying to make sure that when we are improving our revamping our website, we put right information, relevant information, timely information on the front page or 1 or 2 clicks away, so you can find it and you don't have to call 311 to find information about Jazz Festival. Talking about that, you know, I mean, as an ardent user of web, we don't go to a website to get information. We don't go to WashingtonPost.com to get the news. I get the news on my BlackBerry. I get the news on my email. The other thing that is happening in Revolution is I was with the Chief Marketing Officer of AT&T. We are preparing for our upcoming IOC presentation. And she mentioned to me that 40% of, and AT&T is right here, they can say whether I'm saying this true or not, but basically 40% of AT&T's internet traffic is video. It's a big change in terms of content that is traversing our fiber, and 40% of that is video. So we did this. We worked with Google and YouTube, and we had the mayor's YouTube channel up and running. So now to the people that go and look for these videos. Not just him, we also have this YouTube pages for Explore Chicago. So you can see a lot of videos of good, cool places in Chicago to visit. And we also have this same tool for the Mayor's Office of Special Events. So you can see what the Jazz Festival and all those things, different things were about. But that's not the only thing. The new thing came about, Twitter. People don't have time to go connect your PC and everything. They want to do it quickly on their BlackBerry. So these are all changing trends. And one of the things that an organization where the cost pressures are huge, we have to make sure that we find cheaper, innovative, easier ways to reach out to people. And what we do is we don't invest too much money on. So what we did was we have Twitter. As you can see, there are 700 plus followers of Explore Chicago Twitter. So if you sign up at twitter.com/Explore Chicago, you will get all the updates of what's coming up in Explore Chicago, so you don't have to make the 311 call to know when is the Jazz Festival. We will let you know. So that's what exactly we are trying to do, is instead of you trying to reach us to find a service, we want to tell you these are the services that we can provide to you, and that way we can utilize the new advantages at the same time without affecting the services or service levels that we provide to you. But all these things basically would be very technology to you, or how we build the technology that we deliver to you, especially in these tough economic times. These innovative services make life better for city workers and the people they interact with, but in a time of service budget constraints, even the most valuable IT programs face challenges in being fully funded. When the IT programs are balanced, again, the core function of the municipality, public safety. Whenever I ask Alderman Flores or Alderman Cardenas, would you have an extra police officer, or should I spend that money on an IT program? Many times in these tough times, an IT program has tough time to stand against these kind of essential public service. Burden to the taxpayers, we are also making sure that at any opportunity that we get, we kind of reduce the actual expenses, not just in IT, but also the overall cost of running the city government. So basically, we did that mainly in the three categories: cutting overall IT costs, improving our government efficiency. We took these three major steps, renegotiated the major technology contracts in the city. So what the mayor did was, mayor asked Judy and Montel and us and Tony Ruiz ways to cut costs in IT. So we got together. We brought our big vendors, major vendors, also in the room, one after the other, and we renegotiated the contract. And within really cooperation from our vendor partners. Our major vendor partners really have worked with us, partnered with us to make sure that in these tough times, they look at their contract and make sure that we can reduce that. Not just that, Steve Maris is here from Chicago Park District. Steve is a great colleague in the Park District. We have Bob Runcie in the Chicago Public Schools, and Jim Fowler is here from CTA as well. We all get together on a routine basis. Recently, I met with Bob Runcie's team, and we compared our contracts and said there are many contracts that looks and increase the economies of scale and see if we could reduce the taxpayers' money. It's good for the vendors also, because now they have a consolidated portfolio. They know exactly how it's going. And looking at those options also of how we can, all the sister agencies, get together and look at similar contracts, renegotiate, and save money that way. We also looked at opportunities of consolidating services, IT services within the city of Chicago. And for those meaningful areas where we can consolidate, like infrastructure, we worked with the police department and consolidated their help desk with our outsourced help desk partner, Unisys, and we saved $1 million right there for the taxpayers. So basically, what we did was we looked at in 2008, because we knew that we make. At the same time, though, the biggest expense in our operating budget is personnel. The city has invested a lot in its personnel, and it's our IT them to this workforce so that they can finish the same amount of work or more work in less time. So we implemented a few steps in that. So one of the implementations is we implemented an asset and inventory management solution at O'Hare at Aviation. And basically what it did was it replaced an older, outdated system. And by deploying this system, which went live on March 3rd, the aviation department now can basically track, maintain, and value the asset that they used throughout the year. As a result, they'll be able to reduce costs, increase efficiency, and maximize the useful life and performance. So now all the 311 users can be anywhere in the city and utilize the 311 system. The upcoming thing in this year is going to be mobile. That they require the field crew where they are, as opposed to they having to come to the office to get the information on their paper and then take it back and finish the work. So we are also making sure that 2009, we focus on mobilizing our crew, our 311, and give that information out to them in the field. The other big thing that we did was LOTS. The name, as it says. LOTS is Land in Ownership Ticketing System. That's for the Department of Streets and Sanitation. And the reason I'm going into these kind of small initiatives is for you to know that everything that and for people like Mitchie and all the streets and sanitation, transportation, we are looking at the entire portfolio of government services and try to see where are the areas where we can find efficiency Arts system, what was happening was people were picking up like refuse and all the tires and everything and dumping them in blighted neighborhoods where open lots were available without fenced, and they used to dump all those things there. That was a big issue. That's still a big issue. And by the time an inspector goes there, looks at that all the big issue, takes all the notes, inspection report, and gives it to court enforcement, it used to take months really to get back to really finding the lot owner, if we can find the owner of that lot. What we did was we gave the inspector mobile devices, actually transfer that online to the court enforcement, and then it goes to the administrative hearing. So what used to take months will be done within a few days. We have a few devices already tested, and inspectors, and Mike McCarty is the right person to tell me who should I give those devices to. He is the Commissioner for Streets and Sanitation. But what is so unique about IT is that we are everywhere, and we try to help everyone. I just talked to you about how we help the garbage pickup man or the streets and sanitation person. We also help attorneys. Even though we know they're attorneys, we help them. Raj. 2006, the law department identified the need for a legal case management system to assist the department and its employees to the city, its department's officials and employees, saving taxpayer dollars by effectively representing its clients in legal transactions and civil litigations. The IT director for the law department implemented that, and it has delivered, according to the law department, real value to the city. It has enhanced the attorney productivity by increased legal time that they spend on that, and by decreasing the tracking, locating, and reporting all the information that they had to do manually before that, and also improved the decision-making process. At the same time, we want to refocus what our key shared values are. As we confront new economic challenges, Chicagoans believe in and expect their government to reflect. While I know we are technologists, first, we are public servants, and do its methodology for city's broader policy goals. It's no accident that Chicago is routinely hailed as one of the greenest big cities in America. Suzanne is right here. She can vouch that this is an absolutely true statement. Through the mayor's leadership, environmental sustainability has become central to the way city does business across all departments, at all levels. I'm working closely with Sadhu and Suzanne to make sure that technology is a leading part of Chicago's green strategy. We are starting our work of greening municipal government and where key opportunity areas may be. What you're seeing here is what we did in 2008 was with Mitchie Peña's all the city computers. What it does, it basically puts that in hibernate mode where it only uses 3% of the actual energy that it would use if the PC were on. So this is before, as you can see, before we implemented that in the month of January. You can see the PCs used to remain on all the time. All the orange bars that you see are basically bars when the PCs were on and we were using so much energy. And as you see in February, you see all the yellow bars. Yellow bars are when the PCs were hibernated. So we kind of started hibernating the PCs. We did was that we saved, the city's energy consumption was reduced by about 1.4 million kilowatt hours per day. That would be a big number, but I don't think kilowatt hours per day. That also equates to about 2.2 million pounds of carbon dioxide emission. It'll also save some amount of taxpayers' money in terms of the energy bill that the city gets. Additionally, we'll also be able to keep the PCs on so that we'll be able to apply patches while they are still on. We're also making sure that the city has a great convening power. And we are trying to utilize that convening power to foster best practices for green technology at private sector companies and academic institutions in Chicago. The co-chair, my peer there, David Weinstein's here also. So what we try to do is in our sustainability is one of the 4 major focus areas for the Mayor's Council. Cutting edge entrepreneurs and CIOs from, like Dan Hill is here from Exelon. From Chicago's leading companies, regularly we involve green topics. We talk about covering everything from green technology, Michael Polsky and his wind-powered green energy and everything, to the business cases that we can make for green technology. So that's our huge focus for this year. Second major priority for the city is making Chicago the most accessible city in the United States for people with disabilities, something that has become even more important. 20% of Chicagoans, 600,000 residents, have some or the other disability. And millions of visitors that come to Chicago also suffer from some kind of physical or average age, average life grows. Basically, last year, what we did I worked with Karen Tamley, the Commissioner for the Mayor's Office of People with Disabilities. We convened an Accessible Technology Advisory Council, which is basically comprised of leading people from the disabilities area. And they also have, basically, they can provide us a lot of input. What we started doing was hearing their input and applying that to, we are going forward to adopting a standard which is one of the most rigorous standards in technology accessibility that will be adopted by a major municipal are from the 508 as well as from the Illinois standards for accessibility. So we are going to go forward with that. I also have to recognize our on the course, making sure that when we develop that website, when we deliver that website, it's accessible for all kinds of people with disabilities. We made sure that. Also, the Revenue Department, when they rolled out the kiosks, we worked with the kiosk vendor to make sure that they also apply all the accessibility standards that we are following into their kiosk. And really, by making sure that one large city like Chicago is following accessibility standards, these vendors go back and apply that to their products that they don't just sell to Chicago, they sell it to the whole US. So what we are doing is actually benefiting every. We also have to make sure that, especially in these times when small firms are really hit hard and big companies are kind of hesitating in making sure, in working with the small companies, interacting with smaller companies, it is even more important for the city that we use our purchasing power to support economic opportunity for minority and women-owned businesses, as well as the enterprise owned by people with disabilities. For our department, this means aggressively expanding our use of city's minority business enterprise and women-owned business enterprise programs. For example, I mentioned last year that the new master consulting agreement RFQs are going to be out there. We stayed true to the promise. We did the RFQ. We got the responses back. We did 2 RFQs, one for happy to report that the target market RFQ selections would be announced very shortly. And thank you, Judy, for working aggressively with us to make sure that we stay true to our in this especially tough times for the minority and women-owned business enterprises. In addition to keeping true to most of our central values, we must also seize this opportunity to implement programs and policies to make Chicago more competitive in the long term. Key to this is retooling our workforce to ensure that everyone has the skills to compete and thrive in the 21st century economy. One way that we are making Chicago's workforce more technologically competitive is, as we call it, CAT. When CAT opens its doors to incoming students this fall, it'll be an autonomous public high school operated in advanced technology. CAT's curriculum will include rigorous math, science, social studies, and language arts classes, plus cutting-edge courses in computer science and information technology. It will also feature a comprehensive mentorship program that draws from over 600 volunteers in the private sector. I have to acknowledge the private sector support here again, because as soon as I said we want to do something like this, we want to focus on a high school technology curriculum, there were 76 businesses that were flocked just to say we are going to sign up, we are going to be a partner. The students' opportunity for internship. We are going to be there, our workforce will be there to volunteer as one-on-one mentor, and they'll also be allowing is a huge public-private sector partnership, and this is a great example of that. Anybody who doesn't know much about CAT, want to partner with us? Joan Metz, right there in my at the Do It table. Joan, if you could stand up. Joan, you see Joan, and Joan will tell you exactly what the CAT is all about. And frankly, all of these things that we are trying to do really would not be possible without the excellent team that I've been able to get together, all these different folks that have come from private sector. They were here at Do It before I came in, and I've all money and deliver solutions. So at this time, I would really want our Do It team to stand up so we can acknowledge them. There are a lot of people here. They all work very hard. They all work very hard in their respective disciplines to make sure that, as they say, a CIO is known in the first year by himself or herself, what the person brings. And after the first year, the CIO is known by the team. And I'm really happy to have this great team together. While we are talking about the CAT and focusing on retooling our education, the other big thing that we are making sure that we are training the next generation. While we are training the next generation, we also have to train the current generation. And what we do that is we do that Chicagoan is trained in technology, or at least known or exposed to technological tools so that they can participate in the 21st century knowledge society. And 76 people could do. So what we did was, again, groundbreaking, where we got all the 40 departments together and said, this is something like what Mayor did with the Environmental Action Agenda. We need a Digital Excellence Action Agenda. And various departments have various touch points with various citizens, and we want to make sure that every time you interact with a citizen, we have a technology interaction as well. So all these departments have come together, and very soon we'll tell you more about the Digital Excellence Action Agenda. But what I can talk more about is the Digital Excellence Demonstration Community. These are 3 real life and in these neighborhoods, we are planning to take a lot of technology resources, and again, private sector is right there, MacArthur Foundation, the state of Illinois, Shirley Stern, so that we can address the issues with the digital divide, that is access, technology, the broadband access, affordable hardware, affordable software, education, and awareness. And we are trying to apply some real life projects in these 3 neighborhoods to make sure that all the Chicagoans have access to technology and are exposed to the technology. And these efforts basically are built on years of work by organizations like Chicago Public Schools and Chicago Public Library. And we are making sure that I'm working with Mary Dempsey and Ron Huberman, all the people that are focusing on. At the end of this whole cycle, Chicago comes out as a strong leader, a stronger leader. We are already a leader, a stronger leader in the global economy. Time to meetings and everything. The food's over, the dessert's over.
We have a lot of questions.
Okay, I'll take the questions. Basically, what I wanted to recap and summarize is that my remarks, I wanted to make sure that have provided an understanding not only of what we have done and intend to do with technology at the city, but also how it fits to the broader economic and policy priorities. Although we face major challenges, I truly believe that our current moment presents the greatest opportunity of our generation to make change and improve lives. As someone has said, at perhaps the occasion, we are Chicagoans after all. We won't have it any other way. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hardy. Okay, and I want to thank everybody for respecting our speaker and not having your phones or Blackberries go off. We really appreciate that. It's such a technology-oriented group. We figured we'd have a regular musical concert going here. So thank you very much. Hardy, the first question comes from Joyce Saxon, who's a City Club board member. The payments, so the over $100 million that you collected, what kind of payments were those?
The large number of transactions were large dollar amount came from the business taxes. So if you go onto the online services page on City of Chicago site, you will see we have collected all the online services and pay online. You can pay your parking ticket fines, you can purchase city stickers, pay business taxes, pay water payment online, all the different kinds of payments.
Thank you. This is from Joanne Becker. Could the state of Illinois do similar cost-cutting, renegotiation of contracts, consolidations, etc., mergers with the city, county? Approximately how much money do you think might be saved?
I would have answered that if I were a state CIO. I think that's a great question, and but it would be more appropriate to be asked to the state.
Virtualization technologies, that is VMware or Microsoft Hyper-V, to consolidate server and desktop hardware, cradle development environments, etc. Thanks, Bob.
That's a real trend for saving a lot of money. I mean, virtualization saves not just energy, saves licensing costs, saves personnel costs to maintain multiple servers, and so on and so forth. We have already, in terms of Unix, it's kind of a quasi-virtualization example where we ported most of our enterprise applications from smaller Sun servers onto this big enterprise server, and it's kind of virtualized enterprise system server that we have a lab going on literally in the basement to make sure that we are leveraging these technologies. But we are definitely, don't know what vendor we'll go with, but definitely that's the way to go.
Thank you. This is from one of the City Club members referring to CAT. Where will it be located? How many students will be there? And how are the students and the faculty selected? Will this be a public school or a charter school?
Excellent questions. I forgot to mention, we got the location for CAT at 13 Old Medill Elementary School, and we are going to share space with the Air Force Academy, which is also a Renaissance 2010 school. Ours is a Renaissance 2010 schools. So students are we selected 150 students each. So it's a high school, 9th through 12th grade. We are starting with the 9th grade, and we are going to add one grade every year. So at the 4th year, we'll have the entire school full. One grade will have 150 students. One classroom will have not more than 22 students. The teachers will be contracted with the Chicago Polytechnical Education. They won't be they won't be contracted with the CTU. They'll have a direct contract with the not-for-profit vendor that's running the school. So we'll have a lot of flexibility in terms of teaching hours. So
networking technology, for example, Facebook?
So we are looking at all the social networking aspects and making sure that we are hitting the right areas. YouTube was a great area to reach out to people. Twitter is a great example of sending the real-time city information back to people. We are looking at Facebook. Don't know exactly where we will end up with, whether we will end up with that, something like that. But I have seen a lot of cities and counties have fan pages on Facebook. Maybe that is one thing that we would look at. But at this time, we are just evaluating all the different kinds of social networking.
And use the internet to streamline process, but remember you already have one full-time job and you do have children that you want to see.
So my uncle here works for the Cook County court system. So I know exactly what, I mean, you know, he tells me a lot of the things about court. I think they are making, when I remember back in the late 90s when I came here, started working as a consultant with the Chicago police, we have, the Cook County Circuit Court uses technology, and I know we used to send our arrest reports and all the arrest information and the judges used to get that real-time information when the defendant comes to the court. So they are already using a lot of technology, and I meet with we have learned a few things from them, like the exchange migration. They were ahead of us, and we are collaborating and making sure that, you know, we are learning lessons and sharing the lessons learned with each other.
Thank you. This is from our board member and chairman of our bylaws committee, Chris Roebling. Where does the stimulus money go?
I expected that. So as you know, there are two kinds of stimulus money. I mean, there is formula grants, which go to transportation and energy and other stuff. There is also this whole competitive side of the grants. So we are basically that. So that's all public knowledge. There are a lot of competitive grants that we are considering, we are looking at, and we'll see. I mean, competitive grants are something that, you know, it's competitive. So we are going to compete. So I think as you can open the whole stimulus bill and know which areas of competitive grants are available, and as money come in, I think they will go definitely to the best service for the taxpayers.
Thank you. We just have two last questions. One is from Mark Friedgan from Cashinet, USA. How is the City of Chicago leveraging open source software and community technical talent?
Great question. Again, I can see that everybody is civic. Open source is a great way to look at reducing costs. We are making sure that we don't use open source which is not supported. So we are looking at this supported looking to things like JBoss. You know, it's an open source application server that we can utilize. So we are looking at various open source software and making sure that we are replacing our proprietary high cost technology solutions with make sure that's supported and what we can rely on. I can sleep at night without worrying about whether that open source software is going to get me a phone call. We are making sure that we are investing in those kind of open source.
Speaking of sleeping at night, to Baroda in Michigan. It's only about an hour and a half away. You might be sister cities. We highly recommend it. If you do, take you and your family, your wonderful family, to Bill's Tap and tell them that we sent you. Just a couple of items. One is a copy of the City Club of Chicago history. These will pass any ethics test that you have to answer. And one is a City Club mug that you could have your favorite tea in or coffee. And we really appreciate it. Let's give Hardy a big hand.